the perfect offense that was situated for him, where it was a play action offense. They wasn't asking him to make many reads and stuff like that. He wanted to do more as a quarterback, and he realized that he can't do more as a quarterback. So
exactly,
it will be funny to see what happens with him.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out to Ralph in the building. Appreciate you for jumping in. Rute. All right, so McGregor versus Mayweather. The fight was last weekend. It was a lot better than I thought. I thought it was going to be over in 5 rounds. Did you see the fight? And what's kind of your thoughts on how it went down?
So I watched the fight, and I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed watching this fight. Of course, for anybody who expected Mayweather to lose, I just want to say, what were you thinking? Like, you cannot have truly believed that Mayweather was going to lose this fight. But I will say that they both was entertaining. Mayweather used to rope-a-dope a little bit on McGregor. Let McGregor kind of punch himself out for the most part. But what you did see was you saw Mayweather coming forward the entire fight. And I think that's what people want to see from Mayweather and want to see from boxing is, okay, two guys just going back and forth at the entire fight or whatever. And that's not necessarily boxing, but Mayweather decided to be more of a brawler this fight. And it was good. It was good. It was good entertainment. I think both of them walked away with a Brinks truck.
Definitely.
What? McGregor got $100 million, 10 rounds, $100 million. That's what, $10 million a round. And Mayweather got about $200 million or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy, right? Yeah. So they made all that money. But again, like I said, it was really entertaining. It was better. It was better than watching Pacquiao and Mayweather. I can say that. It was better than watching them two fight.
That's the truth.
And people don't realize this too. Like when you watch that fight, McGregor had very, very little ring experience. Let's say he had no ring experience as a boxer. I mean, he's had ring experience, so you could tell he wasn't unfamiliar with what he was doing in the ring. He was doing good stuff. He was like trying to cut off sides of the ring, and he tried to keep Mayweather kind of like cut off the ring, cut off sections and stuff like that. And he was throwing some solid punches. He was throwing uppercuts and body shots and stuff like that. But I mean, the experience won out, which is what we expected. And so it was like it was a great fight, man. It was great. It was good for boxing. It made a lot of money. And so I was happy with it. I can't complain. I was happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed because, like I said, I thought it was going to be over. I gave 5 rounds, and it went well beyond 5. It was entertaining. Obviously, keeping it 100, that was Mayweather just allowing him to get tired. And once he got to that end of the fight, towards the end, you could see McGregor didn't have the stamina to withstand. So now here's the biggest question, which I'll be asking probably all my guests this today. Is Mayweather the GOAT? He's 50-0 now. Do you consider him the GOAT?
No. I don't consider I don't consider him the greatest fighter of all time. I just don't. I think Muhammad Ali is still, to me, the greatest fighter of all time, just because of his ability in the ring, the competition he faced, and things like that. I think that's what makes him the better fighter all time. But you have to put Mayweather in that conversation just because of his sheer dominance. I mean, nobody has beaten him in 20 years, right? Nobody has beaten him, period, right? But his last loss was an Olympic loss, right, where he won like silver in the Olympics or something like that, and it was like some fluke crap in the first place. But nobody's beat him as a professional, and so he has to be in that conversation. He's by far the best defensive fighter of all time. To me, this guy who who prided himself on controlling the ring. He was a great counter puncher. And so, like I said, you have to put him in that conversation. I don't think he is personally because, I just think that the talent that Muhammad Ali fought was a lot better than the talent that Mayweather fought. But you have to put him in that conversation because of the record, because of what he's done, because of his dominance, because how he dominated. He's only had, I think the closest he's really gotten to losing was Oscar De La Hoya, really. Right? Yeah. So, if we all know Oscar is still bitter about that. he hates Mayweather.
Oh my God. I don't mean to jump in, but Oscar De La Hoya, I've lost a lot of respect for him. You stop hating on this fight. Just because your fighter wasn't in it. Stop hating. Stop being a hater. Stop hating on people getting money. If you were the promoter of this fight, you would have never said nothing about it. He was hating from the beginning. I have complete disgust for Oscar De La Hoya. I'm sorry.
Well, and it's good that you mentioned that because I was going to say how Oscar De La Hoya was initially trying to get McGregor to fight one of his fighters, right? And then when Mayweather and McGregor made the fight, then all of a sudden Oscar was like, oh, this is a disgrace to boxing, blah, 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 blah. It's only a disgrace because you're not making money off of it. That's why it's a disgrace. But if you can make money off of it, which you will probably still try to, because now that McGregor has had a good showing, he had a good showing, even though any true boxing fan will know that Mayweather controlled the entire fight. But, people who just want to watch and see something exciting, they will say, hey, McGregor had a good showing. Like, we would like to see him fight again. And now he can be a cash cow in boxing, even though he's the only one right now, right? He'll get another fight with some big-time fighter that people will be willing to pay to see because it's McGregor, right? So Oscar De La Hoya will be one of the people who are trying to say, hey, what's maybe Canelo, et cetera. So we'll see, but he's bitter. That dude is straight bitter, man.
And that's another interesting part of this. Does McGregor go back to the UFC, which I believe that's going to happen. He knows where his true success will be, and to me, that's only in the UFC. I think he may do another boxing match sometime down the road, but the one person who doesn't want that to happen is the president of the UFC, Dana White. If you heard his comments after the fight, he was basically like, I don't want him to go. I don't want him to fight another boxing match. Why would I want him to do that? Come back to the UFC where you know where everything is and you know the octagon. They asked him that a couple times and he was really afraid or upset about, him possibly going. So that makes this even more interesting.
Well, you know what? I mean, for Dana White, I mean, this is his cash cow, right? Like, McGregor is his big money maker, and so one thing he fears is losing McGregor to boxing, right? And so, I mean, McGregor, his contract is only so long with the UFC. And once his contract is up, well, McGregor made a lot of money boxing, right? Like, he's made more money that one fight than he has probably made his entire time in UFC, right? So Dana White knows that, and he wants to make sure that he locks McGregor in. So this is why this fight was important for McGregor, because now McGregor has leverage over UFC and say, hey, I want to make this type of money in UFC. You want me to fight? I need to make $30 or $40 million a fight. I don't want to get in here for 4 rounds or 3 rounds and only make $1 million. I need to make a lot more money. So this will be interesting to see how this rolls out. We've already been hearing grumblings of like another McGregor and Nate Diaz fight, which would be interesting. I think that will make a lot of money, just because Nate Diaz is the one person that knocked out. That similarly, I'm gonna say knocked out because he hit him. He went down, right? Yeah. He dropped McGregor. So he's the only person that we've seen do that to McGregor in the UFC. So It will be interesting to see if that ends up happening, which I think it will be his next fight, McGregor's next fight, and because they have a little bit of a rivalry. But he will go back to UFC first before he fights another boxing match.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't see him, trying to stick in boxing longer than what he really has to, longer than probably past this one fight, maybe down the road. But always, man, I appreciate you for coming on. Once again, this is Tyjun Mack. Love having him on. Love him getting his sports takes on the Weekend Sports. Go follow him on Facebook, Tyjun Mack.
Facebook.
He's always in all the NBA talk groups, always on Facebook, giving his sports opinion. So appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's always a great time to talk sports, and I always enjoyed this platform. So I'll be excited to do it again in the next couple weeks.
All right, man. Take care.
Oh, and football season is beginning. Yes.
The time is now.
I'm so ready.
All right. Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. All right. My man Tyjun Mack, like I've always said, man, we go back since the fifth grade. All right, so let me give a shout out to some newcomers here in the chat room. We got Raider Kev in the building. Also, Nina Cross, if I didn't say that. Miss J twice, also in the building. Appreciate all the newcomers. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. So a couple of comments here. Ralph says Ali is the greatest because he did it in and outside the ring. Mayweather can't touch what Ali did to a generation. That's a great point. That is an awesome point. I will say this. I'm gonna say I think McGregor is the greatest. I'm looking at boxing wise. The guy's 50-0. Nobody's ever done it before. He is, to me, is a true definition of a true art of boxing. He's not a headbanger. He's not going to try to win a slugfest, but he is so methodical in what he does. Nobody, to me, has ever done it like Mayweather. Nina Cross says he needs to stay there. I think she's talking about McGregor. She says no more boxing for him. Made me mad. He made a lot of boxing fans mad. He did. A lot of people I know were disgusted with this fight. They didn't want to see it happen. But he wanted to get paid, and he did that. He reached probably the highest amount that he's made ever on a fight. All right, everybody. So we got a great rest of the show planned. Next up, we're going to have an interview with D Jax. He is a Christian hip-hop artist. Had an interview with him a couple of days ago, so it is pre-recorded, but check it out. It was a great interview with him. The intro song today was featured by him. It was a song called Neighbor featuring Tone Jones, and you can go check it out. It's on an EP called Cake. I will put the link in the chat room. So we're going to take a break. Right after that, we get into our interview with D Jax. Every fantasy football league has that guy. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who brings 15 spreadsheets to the draft. The guy who keeps picking a player who has already been taken. The guy who drafts the Seahawks defense in the 6th round. The guy who barely knows football and asks what special teams are.
Come on, son. Come on.
The guy who drafts 4 quarterbacks. To make that guy pay, you need a tattoo league. Until now, tattoo leagues were for the bravest and stupidest among us. Not anymore. Now you too can punish your league loser with a tattoo. Fantasy Loser tattoos are safe, FDA approved temporary tattoos for the loser in your fantasy league. Their tattoos are a perfect punishment by themselves or combined with the loser trophy or costume. Fantasy Loser Tattoos are an official licensee of Matthew Berry's fantasy